Spider, get away.
Hey guys, it's Asian here again with another dungeon video. This time we're going to be doing Selene's Web. As usual, we'll be explaining the boss mechanics, and once we finish explaining the boss mechanics, we'll go ahead and skip over the rest of the fights. We'll also continue to skip over the trash mobs in between boss fights.
Is it?
This is
Oh,
the first boss here. Doesn't have anything particularly challenging. His special attack will bind you into a web and pull everybody towards him, after which he will create a large AoE circle around him that does a lot of heavy damage. All you gotta do is just dodge roll out once the bind is over. Once you beat the first boss, you can jump down here into the water, right into the second boss. There are going to be a couple of traps around here. You're going to want to disarm as many of them as you can before you
are
pull
you
the
just
boss.
running into him?
Just makes the life a little bit easier because these traps will bind you and prevent you from moving around. If you crouch, you'll be able to see where the traps are, make it a little bit easier to find them and disarm them. Starting off, you're going to have to fight against these four panthers. They're not terribly difficult to deal with. They don't have any sort of special mechanics. Once you kill the panthers, the actual boss is going to go on a fairly lengthy tirade. During this time, you can disarm more traps. I highly recommend doing it around this area here where I am standing. Boss is up there. The boss will resummon the panther spirits. You can safely ignore those. He is an archer, and he will roll around like so and drop poison AoE circles. When he drops the poison AoE circles, he will momentarily stun you. You can use break free to get out of that. The panthers will continue to respawn, so DPS, don't worry about the panthers. Just worry about burning down the boss. Beyond that, that's basically it. Use your AoEs to help burn down the panthers. They will respawn after a short while, so don't try to focus them down or anything. You're going to want to use a lot of AoEs in this dungeon, particularly on the final boss, as I will explain towards the end of the video. This is the next boss, just a giant horror, however you want to pronounce it. Comes with a couple of ads, not particularly dangerous. You can burn them down with AoE attacks. He has one attack, kind of creates a giant red AoE circle in front of her. You're going to want to step out of that, but it doesn't do that much damage, and most teams are able to burn them down pretty quick, as we just did right there. Moving forward, going to hit up the next boss here. Going to come with a couple more ads. You can, if pull them away with a ranged taunt or fiery grip, like you saw me do right there. I would recommend pulling them and dealing with them before you pull the actual boss. Just makes things a little bit easier. They're not particularly dangerous on their
What are
own,
you doing?
but
It's like 40 to
not having to
97.
deal with them is always helpful. Once you deal with them, you can go ahead and pull the actual boss, which is this giant bear. During this fight, a bunch of the I forget what they're called. The plants will show up. They're pretty dangerous. They won't attack you unless you're standing right next to them, so you can safely ignore them. Bear has a frontal AoE cleave attack, a fear attack, and then a charge attack. So tank, make sure to face the boss away from the group and roll out of the charge attack. When he does the charge attack, any of those plants that he hits will instantly die. As you can see, they don't really do much as long as you're not within melee range. Once the boss dies, those plants will also disappear. At this point in the dungeon, you're going to have to turn around and go back to where you came, back to where you fought the giant Torver, where you'll fight the next boss. Comes with a couple of ads, you can burn them down. They're not particularly dangerous. She will summon two spider ads occasionally. They are not particularly dangerous. You can probably burn them down before they even have a time to actually attack you. She has a fear move that will fear whoever she's targeting. You can break free out of that. She's not particularly dangerous at all. Once you beat her, you will move on to the next part of the dungeon, burn past a couple of trash mobs, and face off against Selene herself.
On that
This
front, did you?
fight will come in a couple of different
I'm like
waves.
logging on, going, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I
You're going to want to read the scroll if you're going to do hard mode. This is the first stage where she is a spider. She has a couple of mechanics here. She has a typical spider mechanic, so she has a heavy attack. She will create a poison AoE circle, and she will also randomly bind somebody in a cocoon, and somebody else will have to use the X energy to break them out. At some point during the fight, she's going to break the web and drop you into the arena below you. One thing to note, if you wipe on the next stage, the second stage of the fight, you'll have to redo this first stage here. So right around here is when she will break the web and drop you down below. Once you do that, you can continue to attack her at around 15%. She will transition to the second part of the fight. And this second part is going to be the more deadly part of the fight. This form is actually pretty straightforward, pretty easy to deal with. So right around there, she's going to transform into her human form. Just a couple attacks to be aware of. First one there, she will drag everybody towards her and create a giant red AoE circle. Dodge roll out of that. Does a lot of heavy damage. She will summon adds throughout the fight. You're going to want to burn them down as quickly as you can. Her most dangerous move is that one that you saw right there. She will momentarily stop, go into that pose, and summon a spectral bear to strike whoever is in front of her. It is not single target, it hits whoever is in front of her at the time, so the tank, try to keep her facing away from the group. DPS and healer do not stand behind the tank no matter what. That bear is a one-shot KO to everybody, including the tank, if you do not block it. If you do happen to block it, only the tank is capable of surviving the blocked hit. Everybody else, if you happen to see the bear, should move out of its range, either to the left, right. Safest is behind Selene, because I have been killed when I thought I was out of range. She does have one final attack to watch out for. She will fire a Spectral Panther at a random person, which will stun you. You can't really do anything about that stun move. So the idea here is to kind of control the adds. One DPS should burn the adds down, the other one should focus on Selene. AoEs are very useful here. If the tank can drag Selene towards some of the archers, it'll be very helpful for the DPS, then they can just AoE them down. Again, if you wipe during this section of the fight, you're going to have to redo the entire fight from the beginning. And as you can see there, if you don't block that bear attack, you will be hit for a massive amount of damage. I got hit for 47,000. It's very difficult to survive. If you block it, it'll hit you for about 20,000 as a tank. So just watch out for that move. And there we go. We finish off the fight. There is a chest spawn point down here. If you look around, it's on one of the sides. So when you finish the fight, be sure to take a look around to see if there's any that chest spawns. That's it for this video. I hope this guide helps, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.